It's about to go down here.
What's the biggest tip you've ever gotten?
3,500 because why not? This is a 10 experience.
10,500.
Hey, whoa, 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 whoa. What's the biggest tip you've ever gotten?
5,500.
5,500.
What's the biggest tip you've ever gotten?
1,500.
1,500.
Sonny, give me my money.
What's the biggest tip you've ever gotten?
Well, the biggest tip I ever gotten was my rent paid by one of my renters.
So she got her rent paid. All right. I just want to share this story because I usually don't do this. I don't do this, okay? I don't do this at all. This is exactly how I ended up not using UberEat anymore, okay? And I don't use it that much because to me, the whole bill, the way their billing system operates just doesn't sit well with me. So the only time I use Uber Eats is when they're giving me coupons, right? They give me coupons. As a coupons, like they tell me there's a deal. So I have this specific restaurants where I usually buy my food from. And that's the only place where I buy because it's an African restaurant and I'm African. And I'm like, okay, well, sometimes I just want some African food because sometimes to cook African food, it takes a while. You know, you got to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. And I work 5-6 days a week. On my days off, sometimes I just want to cook like a simple rice and stew and enjoy myself. But then the real African food, it takes a lot of time to cook them. Vegetable or okra or egusi, you gotta go to the African market. You gotta go buy the egusi. You gotta buy the vegetable. You gotta buy the meat. You gotta buy all those things. And then you spend so much time, to drive. You spend so much time at African market, and the waivers at the counter at African market probably didn't back up everything in your food. So maybe you want to go back and get whatever it is that you missed, or maybe your favorite guy is not there to like help you, cut the meat the way you want. Like it's just so many things involved, and then you come back to your house. And now you have to cook the whole thing. You have to spend so much time making sure you cook the meat. The meat is good. You season it. That's like nothing less than 1 hour. Gotta like grind the pepper, using the blender. That takes another time. Gotta cut the vegetable, now cook the soup. That's like 3 hours gone. So for me to spend those 3 hours, I'm like, okay, let me just buy African food or something. So that's when I use Uber Eats. And I use Uber Eats delivery for my food when there's a deal going on. It's like buy one, get one free. Because there's no way I'm just paying for tax and order fees for no reason. Okay, this is why I stopped using Uber Eats. There's no way I'm paying all these things because they make you pay tax and all the fees. And I look at it, I'm already paying tax. What are those all the fees for, right? So that's why I usually use it when there's a deal going on because I'm like, okay, the way you're charged just doesn't make any sense. So one day, I said, all right, let me buy this thing, and it was from a Jamaican restaurant. So I saw them; they had this curry chicken. It was buy one plate, get the next one free. So I was like, okay, that's a deal. I'm gonna get one curry chicken and rice while I'm at work. And then when I get back to my house, I'm gonna have the second plate, and it's curry chicken. I mean, I like curry chicken. So I got the deal. So while I was paying for this thing, I put my whole food in the cart, the basket. I was gonna check out, and then they said, "Okay, for you to check out, give a tip to the driver." And this is where I got. This is where I got. I was like, my brain started twitching. Like, why I gotta give you a tip? Because I'll be taking Uber taxis, and the driver picks you up. You pay for the taxi. The driver picks you up, and then after they pick you up, they drop you off, and after that, there's a rate your driving experience and give the driver a tip. Right after the service, that's when they ask you for a tip. But this time around, they said, give the driver a tip. I was like, nope. Let me get the food first. I need to see the service first. I need to make sure I like the food. I need to make sure my food is properly delivered. No hiccups. Then, like you do the taxi service, you go in, you rate the driver, you give the driver a tip. But they're like, no. I said, no, I'm not giving a tip before the service. They said, giving a tip would help your food get delivered faster. I was like, since when is the time rate of my food delivery, you know, dependent on how much tip I give? And then I remember there was this customer that came to my store. She does Instacart, and she was like, "Oh, people don't like to go shopping. Like, look at this guy. He wants me to go do the shopping for him on Instacart, and it's giving me a $90 tip." That was before they even deliver the product to the person. So I realized, okay, there are some programs that they give tip before they get the delivery. But I'm like, what if I don't like the delivery? I've already given you a tip. What if I don't like it? What if it didn't come with all of my packages? Now I'm giving you the tip. So now if I'm getting the package with delivery, I have to give another tip. Yeah, another tip. So now I know a lot of you guys are ballers and maybe you could afford all this unnecessary tip. I know some of you, some people are like, some people are probably like, oh, look at you, you just a miser, you don't want to give money. But no, I can only pay you for your service after I've received your service. Okay, especially if you're advertising that it's your service that you're giving. And I wouldn't go to a bar and just say, "Oh, let me before I sit down, so you give me a good service. Let me give you a tip before you give me my stuff." I will only give you a tip after the service, and if I like the service, that's when I tip. If I don't like your service, I ain't tipping you nada. So I told Uber Eats, nope. They said, your food won't be delivered on time. I said, what do you mean? So I was like, okay, because I've been ordering food on Uber Eat, and my food usually comes from that same Jamaican restaurant spot. My food usually takes like 15 minutes to come. So I said, I'm going to go on break. And then when I go on break, I'm going to order the food, so the food will come. Well, while I'm on break, I'm taking like a 45 minutes break, something like that. So I calculated the whole thing. But I refused to give the tip before I got the food. You know what Uber Eats did? Uber Eats was like, you have refused to give us a tip, and we're going to make sure you get it. You know what they did? They took my food. Number one, the Jamaican restaurant, because you could keep track of everything. The restaurant didn't get my food request on time, right? That was the first thing. They didn't even give the restaurant my food request on time. And then the second thing they did was they took my food order and they put it on a bicycle. Like, I saw it. They didn't even give any cab driver. No cab driver was going to take my food order because there was no tip there. They put my food on a freaking bicycle. And I was like, okay. And then I was checking the time. Mind you, I'm taking a 45 minutes break. I was thinking, okay, my food will come 15 minutes. So I was okay, well, maybe 18 minutes. And I kept checking the tracking, and the time just kept elongating from 15 minutes to 30 minutes to 1 hour to 2 hours. Okay, 2 hours, and I was still checking the navigation system. It says, your food is on the bicycle, it's coming. And the guy was like, oh. My break had ended, and I had to go back to my shift. By the time the guy came, the guy was sweating. Just walked into the store with my food. It was like, oh. And I walk in the front store, and there's a pharmacy section. So he went straight to the pharmacy. I was like, no, come, that's my food. In fact, out of compassion for this guy, I had to give him a $5 tip. I was like, I didn't mean to do this to you, brother, but it is what it is. Because why would Uber Eats do that to you? That's one. Because they're doing it because I refuse to give the tip before the service. So they put my food on your bicycle. Now I don't know how much they're paying you, but to me it's just wild. So after that, when I got food, and mind you, I didn't even like the food. Okay, that's another thing. I never liked the food because the curry chicken just was a mess. It was like because they know that no one is coming to the store because and that's one of the things when they're delivering your food, they don't do it like when you're standing there and you can tell them, no, I don't want this. They just kind of like just pull whatever it is. You get whatever it is that they give you. So Ever since I was just like, no more Uber Eats for me. I'm never, ever, 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 ever gonna use your app again. And the same thing goes with the Uber driver thing, or with the Uber taxi. If I ever open up on your taxi app and it says give the driver a tip before you use the taxi, that's it. I'm uninstalling all your apps off my phone. I'm gonna start using, what's the other one? Lyft, and every other taxi app that that's out there, every other one except Uber, because I think it's a scam asking me to tip. Now everyone's like competing for my tip, so the higher tip I can give, that's capitalism. That's why only the millionaires just have the freebies, because they can afford all this stuff. I ain't giving, even if I can afford this, I'm not giving you a tip before the service. It doesn't happen. Or maybe I'm tripping. Let me know. Let me know from the comment section. Maybe I'm tripping, because maybe you guys give a tip before you even get the service, and that's why they're doing it. They think everyone else should do it because you guys are doing it. But that's no way I'm doing it. I mean, apart from the fact that I'm too African for that, there's no. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Giving you a tip before I get the service. Maybe it's happening somewhere, because of course some of you are doing that on the app. Because that lady's like, someone gave a $90 tip for Instacart, and she came into the store. All she bought was some toothpaste and shampoo. It's not even worth $30, and you're giving a $90 tip for a product that's not even worth up to $30. To me, that's just ridiculous. That's not the kind of business I'm into. I'm into business where you perform your service and I pay you. And if you go extra mile with your service, then I give you a tip, because tip is for the tip is there for you to commend your extra efforts, not for me. The tip is not there for me to ask you to give extra effort. You offering me a service. I'm not there to like throw my money around. You guys are wilding in this generation. Jesus Christ, save my soul. Maybe I'm too old school for this shit, but this is what it is, guy. Anyways, that's how I end up uninstalling Uber Eats from my phone. It's not even a good app. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible app. It's a terrible thing to have on your phone. You guys should watch my previous video before this, where I mentioned you guys should start cooking your own food. That's the whole point. Uninstall Uber Eats from your app, from your phone right now, and start cooking your food, because that stuff is insane. Putting my food on the bicycle took my food 2 hours to get to me. By the time the food came, I had lost appetite. I didn't even feel like eating the food. The food tasted bad. That reminds me, I didn't even write a review about that, but I'll probably go back and write a review about it. The food was horrible, by the way. And that was the last time I ever used Uber Eats for anything. Because that kind of settings, that kind of setup, it's just not for me. Maybe it's for you. It's just not for me. All right. It's about to go down here.